Welcome to season 2, episode 1 of the My Two Bits Gator Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by my other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, how are we feeling tonight for a pretty special episode of the pod?
B, I am feeling great, man. Did you just say season 2? Holy
I did.
smokes.
It has been 1 year, almost to the day. It may even be to the day. No, I can't because it was a Monday night, but I think we actually did this a week before last year. I think we did it like a week and a half before the season. But yeah, man, it's been about a year plus, just over since we started this thing. Pretty phenomenal, man. It's been a heck of a year. 29th episode here, which is pretty cool. Um, and really enjoyed it. Obviously, we've had a blast doing this and continue to do so, and really looking forward to bringing you some cool stuff this year and getting deeper into the analysis and really taking a deep dive in what we hope is a really cool season of Florida football. It may be trying at times this year. With many of the things that we've discussed, it could be a difficult year in some ways, but I think it's going to be hopefully a rewarding year as well. And something obviously we're definitely both looking forward to bringing you some feedback and analysis on, which is what we try to do here. To that end, we will start as always this 2024 season preview episode with our mission, our vision, and our agenda. Our mission is always to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also have evaluation of strategy and tactics and observation of player personnel decisions and on-field execution. So, with that, our agenda tonight consists of a recruiting update. We haven't done one of those in a little bit, so we'll take a little look at what's going on with the state of the 2025 class. From there, we will do something we did last year, but we've added a little caveat to it. So last year we looked at the strength and weakness of each position group on both offense and defense. This year we are going to add in the caveat of, are they a strength, a weakness, or are they neutral? And by neutral, we kind of mean, in a way, in like comparison to last year, or are they neutral in terms of, we don't think they're going to be a weakness, but we can't necessarily classify it yet that they're going to be a strength. Even if we think they might be, we're not sure. So we're just kind of neutral on where we stand on the position of that group. So that's where we are on that particular piece of it. From there, we are going to get into a breakdown of Keep It or Pitch It, bringing back the ever popular Keep It or Pitch It game. We'll take a look at both points for the 2024 season that we want to look at for Keep It or Pitch It, as we did last year in the preview, but we're also going to do 3 for Miami, which we did not do last year for Utah. We missed out on doing that for week 1, so we wanted to make sure to include it this year. And then we're going to do just a quick little breakdown of some interesting information I'd say we pulled out of the new College 2025 game. I'll explain when we get there. But just some things that I was able to kind of pull out from some sims that I ran, and I'll break all that down when we go from there. So last but not least, we'll do a season prediction, of course, by game, where we think the this ever famous schedule is going to end up by game. We'll give our picks, and then we will wrap things up and sign off. So with that, let's get things started with the recruiting update, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Randy to get us started. Talk us through this 25 class and where things stand.
Sounds good, my man. I appreciate that. Yeah, this
Yes, sir.
is a packed show. Looking forward to getting back into game mode with you. By the way, happy game week. Happy game week.
Yes. Game week, baby.
Big week. So anyways, all right. So let's just go ahead and dive in, B. 2025 Florida Gators. What do we got going on as far as the commit side goes? Let's kind of go over some of the basics of it. Right now, we are ranked number 19th nationally, 10th in the SEC. Overall class score, about 88.94. Okay. We got a couple other metrics, but I want to kind of back up. Let me back up real quick. I want to mention a couple things. We've talked a lot about personnel. We've talked a lot about the leadership and obviously the organizational chart that was a laughingstock for the Florida Gators a couple seasons ago. A big shift has happened here, and I want to go over that real quick. Obviously, we lost our chief of staff to a school just north of Florida. That chief of staff came from Florida West, Texas A&M University, for those of you who aren't familiar with that term. Came to us around February, just lost him a couple months ago. He went to be the chief of staff for Georgia. There's some implications there. Maybe he wants to know how we get it, the Gator way, this, that, and the other. That's fine. But I think what's really crucial, more so to that, is the impact of Mr. Joe Hamilton.
Yes,
and the reason, right? And the reason I say it that way is because when you look at what we ranked about a month or so ago, it was really abysmal.
Yes, it was.
Right? Extremely abysmal, right? It's a number I don't care to mention. Since Joe's come back over the past 6 weeks, he's got a big footprint in Texas football, which I think is very important. The connections, the relationships he has there, but getting him back, and whether or not he's going to serve on that chief of staff type role, but either way, him overseeing our recruiting is a very, very good thing. So I say that to say that 19 number, I get it. Last year, doing the show around this time, we were down to number 10. This year, we're at number 19. The class is not complete, and we'll get into that. But all I'm saying is room for improvement. The improvement's going to be there. We're going to see some of the deficiencies, but it's a work in progress. I'll just keep it to that. But the other thing that we were concerned about last year when it came to the recruiting was 33% came from in-state. Okay. This year's class recruiting for 2025, 64% came in state. Very interesting there. Very interesting there. Last year, the blue chip ratio was a little bit higher at 71%. This year, the blue chip ratio is about 57%. And by the way, for those of you wondering, we are referencing On3 here as the source. On3. Okay. So right now we have 14 commits. We've got 8 4-stars, 6 3-stars. Right? Notably, some of the bigger names in this class, of course, Vernell Brown III, a legacy recruit. That's going to be phenomenal as far as what he has to offer from a skill standpoint at the wide receiver position. A couple of other notable names. Jalen Wiggins, we talked about him before, out of Jay Rickards up there in Tallahassee. Ben Hanks Jr. out of Booker T. Washington, Miami, Florida, as a cornerback. Again, 4-star. Joshua Moore out of Pembroke Pines, a big one. This one was most recent. Nashawn Montgomery, wide receiver, coming out of West Palm Beach there in Miami Central. Waltez Clark, we've mentioned him a time or 2 or 10 before, out of Plant, Florida, Tampa. Running back, another 4-star. Tashawn Gesley, Riverside of Jacksonville, right? Scoring very high, just under 90. We've talked about Jeremiah McLeod, defensive line. So when you look at players like that, we've got a lot of making up to do, but either way, really high to start with for only a class of 4. Because when you look at other schools, they've got 22 commit, 26 commit, 28 commit, 31 commit. We're at 14 commit. Nationally ranked 19th, SEC ranked 10th. A lot of work to do, but great while we are. The other thing to note is the main deficiency I see out of this, out of everything else that we've got going on right now, nothing much by way of the offensive line. So,
yeah, that's a concerning one for sure.
Right. So if that's to come, it hopefully should come sooner than later. I know we went portal shopping. We did some great additions, but at the end of the day, like we talked about before, SEC football is won and lost in the trenches. So we got to make sure we are protecting the future, Mr. Lagway, making sure we have the proper support around him. So that's what I've got as far as my state of recruiting in 2025. What do you got to fill in, B?
Man, fantastic start there. Really good points. I have a lot of them myself of the same. I won't belabor the issue by going over them all again, but I do want to highlight on a couple of things that you did say and just kind of further them a little bit. One is the 64% of the class from Florida, and maybe more importantly, a bunch of South Florida kids there. For those that don't know, South Florida produces something that is pretty important, and that is speed, right? Historically, a lot of speed comes out of South Florida, and there's a lot of speed that was just mentioned on that list, right? Or a lot of South Florida kids that were just mentioned on that list, I should say. And for any confusion there might have been about Montgomery there, he was in West Palm Beach last season. He transferred to Miami Central this season. So went from Cardinal Mooney, I believe, to Miami Central. So that's why the dual location there.
Yep.
And so ton of speed going on in this class already. I expect there to potentially be more, but the receiver class already. So despite the fact that this is a very incomplete class, the receiver class we're looking at here, you're talking about 3 currently 4-star receivers. The potential of, I think, Vernell to end up being a 5-star receiver by the time it's all said and done. He's already on the cusp right now. I think he could definitely get re-ranked and end up being a 5-star very easily. He is a 5-star on 247 already on the single recruiting service. Your opportunities here to have actually the best receiving class, despite the fact that 23's receiving class was outstanding. Obviously, it contained Trey, Aiden, and Andy Jean. It was an outstanding receiver class, clearly. However, this one has a potential to be better. This receiver class looks ridiculous right now. So that I have to call out and say that the talent here really, really looks good. And I think that comes from a couple of things. One, Billy has shown that he can really do a good job at developing and improving receiver play and showcasing them well, right? You saw what happened with Trey last season as a freshman. Kudos to Billy for that because he did a really good job of getting him in and designing plays for him. And then furthermore, I think Billy Gonzalez, gets some credit here as well too. Obviously, that's a wide receivers coach for those that don't know. And then on top of all that, clearly this goes back to Lagway. There's no question about it. These guys want to come in and play, with Lagway throwing over the ball. So that's what a lot of this goes back to, and where a lot of this comes from. I'm sure it's been said by them. So I think that's a really important point to make as well here. The other piece I would say here is for those of you who might be asking, well, why do we only have 14 commits, and why do other schools have 28 and 31 or 25 or 22 or whatever? The answer, I would say, and for the record, we had like 18 or 19 at this point last year as well. What I would say is that we called this. We talked about this 2 or 3 months ago on a pod. I don't remember which episode, but we definitely talked about it. And what we were discussing is the kids are going to wait this year for our team. They're going to wait and see what happens on the field, because whether it's right or wrong, and you can go back to the Napier pod on how hot the seat really is, the perception is that the seat is hot, right? And so kids want to see, okay, is he still going to be here? And what does this team look like? And have they grown? And have they developed? And have they gotten better, right? And what does that mean to them is, are they going to win games, right? And certainly, are they going to win the games they're supposed to win anyway, right? And I think that does matter. So we definitely discussed this and have talked about it and pretty much called this out, that we saw this coming. But to Randy's very good point, it was worse than that a month ago. It was not good a month ago. And thank goodness we got Joe Hamilton back, because this guy is a monster. I mean, he is an absolute beast when it comes to recruiting. I mean, wow. The turn that this class has taken since then. I mean, I think we've landed like 3 4-stars and a 5-star since he came back. Like, it's ridiculous. And counting Vernell as a 5-star again, on the composite he's a 4, but on 247, like I said, he's a 5, and so I'll give him the higher ranking and benefit of the doubt that he's probably going to rise on the other services as time goes along. So I mean, ridiculous. Like, the turnaround has just been remarkable, and the amount of movement up the ranks to now be inside the top 20 versus again where we were, that we just won't even get into. It was ugly. So again, I think that's just really important. So normally here at this point, we would discuss the needs of the class, but again, it's so incomplete at this point. We're just not even going to go there. We're not even going to get into it, because aside, as Randy said, from offensive line, which is definitely a concern and clearly an overwhelming need at this point, there's just too much to list, right? Aside from, it doesn't need any more receivers, probably. We'll tell you we're good at receiver, but aside from that, we need a lot. Happy with the running back get. I like Waltez. I think he looks good. And maybe we could use one more probably, but we might even have one more actually. I can't remember if there might be a 3-star in there at running back, but I think maybe one more there would be good. But I mean, there's so much that is needed. Like, it can't even get into it at this point. So we're just going to leave it alone for now. We'll touch on it again as the season goes along, as we start to hopefully get more commits as the season progresses, and maybe even some flips. I'm interested to see if kids start flipping, if Florida does start looking, call it, better than advertised. How about that? So with that, let's move on and get into the strength, weakness, or neutral of each position group on the team and evaluating that. So starting off, as we do on offense, with the QB room. Always a fun one. We spent a lot of time talking about this. I think everybody knows most of the players here. Obviously, the ones that matter the most are going to be Mertz and Lagway, of course. As we have discussed at length in the last pod, Mertz back for his second season. Very excited to see this and what he can bring in his second year in the system. Actually, getting more excited, I think, by the day to see this. I'm really looking forward to this. It's really interesting, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time, as much as I want to spend a ton of time, talking about a certain game that may have happened over the weekend. But as much as DJU did not live up to the hype, if you will, or maybe he did live up to the hype, depending on how you want to look at it. What I saw there more than anything was a quarterback who didn't know the system yet, right? He had to have a lot of safe underneath throws because he wasn't able to go through a bunch of progressions, read the schemes, know the whole route tree, right? He wasn't there yet. He did have one really good drive later in the game. That's true. But when you look at that game, if you watch that game, and I'm referring to the Florida State game for those who are not aware, it was evident to me, very evident to me, just looking at his play alone. And there's lots of other factors you could look at that game. We could break that whole thing down. We're not going to. But fun as that would be. But when you look at that game, you saw that he just was not yet at all comfortable in that system. You could see it back there. He was just not comfortable. Mertz is going to be comfortable. And that is huge. He is going to have such an understanding and a feel for where everybody is on the field. Plus, he's got maybe the ultimate security blanket this year in DK coming into play with him because he's got so much comfortability with him at receiver. I mean, I'm excited to see what that's capable of. Factor in how or where or why, maybe not why, how or where we're going to use Lagway. I think the why may be obvious. Sorry. But and this could really become a fun room to watch go to work this season. I do think the most important thing that we have to watch for when both of these guys are on the field, but certainly Mertz, is execution. Execution at a high level is what we need to be looking for the most, right? And then when it comes to Lagway, I just want to see how many packages does he have, right? How many times does he get run out there, and how effective are those when we see them? And do they disrupt Mertz, right? There's a lot of talk about, does it mess with Mertz? Again, Trask got really messed with him where he came in. We know this, right? We've seen this on film. I don't think this is going to disrupt Mertz the same way. Because I don't think it's like a kind of a threat to him the same way that maybe Emory was to Trask. I don't think it's like that at all. Clearly, I know it's not like that. So I don't think I think it'll be more of a lot of people have talked about a Tebow Leak situation where Mertz just knows it's just to come in and get him some game time, and then Mertz can come right back in and fall back into his reps. That's what I suspect. I don't suspect a problem with rhythm or flow. I don't see that. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't anticipate that being an issue. So evaluating this, strength, weakness, or neutral, clearly a strength, right? It ended up being a strength last year when we were kind of unsure about it going in. It is without a doubt a strength this season. So give me your thoughts on the QB room.
First of all, really good breakdown. Secondly, I couldn't be more excited myself. I think when we've talked about Mertz and his leadership, and if I remember correctly, going back to last year's season preview, we don't need him to be flashy. We don't need him to try and hit a grand slam every time. We need him to come in. We need him to be a game manager. We need him to be a very good point guard, distribute the rock, limit turnovers. Again, folks, we know the MO. We didn't push the ball downfield. As a result, 2,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 INTs. Okay, 73% completion percentage. For those of you who think Graham Mertz was not a good quarterback for the Florida Gators last year, I would argue that he was exactly what we needed as
Absolutely.
we were hemorrhaging when it came to positionally, scheme, players, injuries. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. I like it.
You know? Yeah. So outside of that, really excited to see what's going to come in. Again, folks, hearsay. Ben and I like to work off of material fact and analysis, but maybe DJ comes in and DJ's got 4 to 5 packaged sets. Maybe he's working with Russ on a couple things. Russ Callaway just got promoted 4 months ago, co-offensive coordinator, whatever that means. Because again, the role was never really clearly defined.
Whatever
Maybe
that means.
Yeah. Maybe that was Billy playing chess, not checkers. I don't know. But either way, hey, Russ Callaway's a co-offensive coordinator. Yay. So what does that mean? A lot of people say Leak Bo 2.0. I disagree. Here's why. When Timmy came in to do one thing: run your boop over, right? So DJ comes in, well, he can run, he can pass, he can do a lot of different things. Then he doesn't just have to overpower you, although he can with his frame and his speed, but he just brings another element. And I think based off of all the preseason stuff that we've heard between Lagway and Mertz, their families, Mr. Lagway commenting on Graham and his family and what he's done for DJ in the development, in the social game, in the economic game, regarding being in that QB room and not having all that pressure put on him, knowing it's a lot of pressure as the Gatorade National Player of the Year. I know that they are going to be in a good place. They're going to root for each other, and they should be the ultimate complement to each other to solidify that quarterback room and really have the offense humming. So
yeah, I'm really excited to see what that looks like as kind of the tandem of those two. You know, obviously not, you know, playing equal amounts, but just like you said, the cheering for each other and rooting each other on. Man, I'm excited to see what that looks like. Man, that's really neat.
it is, and that's why I have to say, returning in the system, you said it best: comfortability, right?
Yep.
DJ Uyagalele, no disrespect to him, right? Stayed at Clemson, stayed at Oregon State, now at FSU, 3 schools in 3 years. He's a 3 for 3er, but he just looks so uncomfortable, right? People don't forget Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis did amazing things last year, as much as I don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I know he's
Folks,
phenomenal.
Jordan Travis was there day one with Mike Norvell.
Yep.
4+ years in a system. You better be comfortable after that. If not, then there is something wrong. You know, so at the end of the day, I'm going to label this a strength. I'm going to label this a strength because of that QB room, the continuity, all the different things, the different what they've tried to build, and Graham coming into year 2, the control, the poise, the tenacity, all those things are there. All those things are there, and I think they're going to pay off.
And kudos to you for taking on Yui Ungale, because that is a mouthful to
Bless you.
take on the last name. It is a tough one. I stuck with DJU first time around because it's hard. We're gonna have a couple of those this year. I'm still not sure I have Emma Viola. Emma Viola, is that Tennessee's last name? Nico? I think that's his name. We're gonna have a bunch this year. We're gonna have a fun time with. We'll do our best. We will try not to butcher them.
You got to remember, you got to do the clap rule, just like we did Sesame Street. E-ma-the-v-a 6 syllables. There you go.
There you go. All right, moving along. Let's talk O-line. Here we go. Obviously, we spent plenty of time talking about some concerns we had on this on the last pod. Those concerns did not go away in 3 weeks, just so we're clear. Though I did hear some good things about the left side of the line these last few weeks out of camp. But as I posted on the Facebook page yesterday, don't buy camp hype. Don't buy it. It is not real until you see it. So it is not real until we see it. And I have to label this a weakness until we see it. So we labeled it a weakness last year. We were dead on because, boy, it was rough. I think Randy and I both think this can be better. Getting Barber back, getting Slaughter back, certainly those positions should be strengths. The transfers, jury's out. We'll see. Hopefully improvements there. Though Manuel's not likely to start, but should be a depth position that should be okay. Crenshaw Dixon may not even start, to be honest with you. There's some discussion there, but I think he's going to start at guard. I don't know if Georgia's going to start at tackle. Lot of talk there over the last couple of weeks as to whether or not Rod Kearney might start at right tackle, or excuse me, at right guard. I messed that up. Crenshaw Dixon would be the tackle. Excuse me, but I'm not sure who's going to start at guard on the right side. The left side is going to be Najee Harris from all indications. So, feel pretty good about the left side, but again, it's a feeling. We don't know. Right side, don't feel as good, and we still don't know. So the question we've been asking all offseason is, regardless of the talent, not regardless of it, but regardless of the if it's high level talent or not at all positions, we certainly know a couple are. And with these other guys, can they play up to a higher level than what they're necessarily projected to, which certainly we see happen all the time. Georgia Tech. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I had to do it. Again, it looks like it should be better than this year, but it's a weakness until we see the proof. So honestly, if I can get through the first couple of weeks and come back to this point and say neutral, I'm grinning ear to ear. Because if this ends up being neutral, this team is going to be pretty good on offense. I will put that in writing right now. Take the receipt, write it down. If it's neutral, but that's an if right now. So weakness until proven otherwise. So what do you got on O-line?
Okay, so B, final answer is weakness.
Final answer is weakness until it proves me wrong. And I want them to, but I'm not calling for anything besides that.
Okay. So I fumbled on this last year, literally and figuratively. I thought it was going to be a strength, and in last year's update or a preview, I gave it grades, of course, right, back and forth, and I want to say I labeled the O-line as a B-, and couldn't have been further from the truth, right?
Yeah.
When you look at when you look at an O-line that all season long, only 2 of those lineups started games together. Like,
yeah, and in fairness, that really hurt your chances at having a good grade. In fairness, like that did not help your case.
Not at all. Not at all. The size was there, but we didn't plan on it. Well, of course we didn't plan the injuries and players shifting and not being in this position, whatever. So at the end of the day, when I look at the updated starting day roster, right, or the depth chart, we have Mr. Austin Barber at left guard, left tackle, Nijah Harris, left guard, Mr. Slaughter at center. I do feel good about the center position because Jake has a lot of scar tissue. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. Feel solid about left guard or left tackle. Feel solid about center. Like those I feel good about. Yep. But otherwise, it's too many question marks for me to say I'm okay with it.
Right. And so right guard, it looks like it's going to be George, or as I call him, Predator.
I'm hearing it could be Kearney, man. I'm hearing it could be Kearney.
Well, and that's the other thing too, because if Kearney does slip into that spot, then after that, at right tackle, we're going to have Crenshaw Dixon.
Probably.
So I don't see how else you would shift that outside of Waits or
Waits is the option. It's potentially Waits and Kearney. Oh, it's just as starters for the record. Those guys are still going to play there. They just may not
start. See, and that's the other thing too. I'm thinking, okay, last year I was high on them, right? So this year I would think I'd take the opposite. However, with Barber back and healthy, that's the other thing too. Barber's healthy.
Yeah,
Barber did
that's big too.
But pretty banged up, right? We feel good. Okay, so left guard, left tackle, center, right guard, right tackle. We have 5 positions there on the front. We feel good about 2.5 of them. So that's why I'm going to go with
2.5.
Neutral. Neutral.
All right,
we're good on
taking neutral. So
I'm taking neutral.
For what it's worth, I absolutely think it can get to neutral. I'm just not going to say it until I see it. That's all.
Fair. You got to pass the eye test. And that's the thing, too. I think that with Rob Sale and everything else that's been mentioned this offseason regarding the protection of Mertz, and if Lagway's going to come in for a play or 2 or 3, he's going to need protection. The offensive line has to be at its best to give Graham Cracker 3.5 seconds to do whatever the hell he needs to do. And that has to be an emphasis that Rob Sale heard and felt and echoed. And not to mention with the strength training, the changes in strength training, is our own line now a little bit more apt to handle maneuvers, hands, hips, feet. Again, I'm just staying neutral.
Yep. I got you. And that's something that should happen, right? Some of these guys have been playing under him now for 2 to 3 years, depending on who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Or this is either their second or third season. Like, he should be developing these guys. They should be getting better. Absolutely. So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. Let's move on. Let's talk running backs.
10-4.
Obviously a room of contention with the departure in the offseason, right? That shall not be named, as we've said. I don't care to name him, but you don't want to talk about it, so we won't. Or you don't want to say the name anyway. So this is still a very solid room. It's a very deep room. There's still a lot of talent in this room. Obviously, Montrell leading the way on that. Whether or not he's going to play week 1, this is a season preview, not a week 1 preview, right? So Montrell is still obviously the bell cow back here with a ton of talent, a ton of reliability, a ton of experience and understanding, and certainly knows this offense inside and out. And he will be the rock for the bulk of the season, whether it starts week 1 or week 2 or even week 3, right? Because we won't need him week 2 if he doesn't play week 1. So it's up to them if they bring him back or not. But I'm still excited to see how the younger guys get time behind him, as we kind of talked about last pod as well. And I'm still calling this room a strength because I know Montrell is outstanding. I know Webb can play. And I know what I saw out of Ball in that spring game is exciting. So I know that this room has a lot of talent, a lot of depth, and a lot of reliability and dependability. And because I know those things, I can call it a strength. And that's why I'm going there. What do you got?
Great reasoning. I'm going to call it a strength as well for a few different reasons. Would we rather have Trell play at 75, 80%, wait for him to get healthy and be a full 100%? Some people differ in between that. Either way, I love Billy's quote last week about Webb is a guy that he can trust. He can trust.
Yeah, I like that too.
Right? That was great to show how he's grown in the pass protection game, the blocking game. Huge key. Because the other name that we shall not mention just couldn't block, right? Just was not as effective.
Or didn't want to, whatever.
I was just gonna say, what do you want to call it? Being selfish? Whatever. It is what it is. Okay. Jackson and Baugh, joystick-like, shifty-like, speedy-like. Love the things that we're seeing out of there. Now, can we channel some of that young energy and turn them into really sensible backs, seeing the gaps? My guess is, since they've spent a lot of time around Trell, I don't see why they wouldn't have been able to pick up a little bit of what he was putting down. The other thing is, and I know it's a shame, but Cam Carroll, again, ACL injury, transfer from Tulane last year. The one thing I've appreciated about him is he's now the upperclassman, right, as a senior. And although he's been hurt, although he's rehabbed, the rehab has not gone how he's planned. The one thing I've appreciated about him is he has joined Mertz. He has joined Justice Boone as some of the senior voices on this team to really help with accountability. So you better believe he's still impacting that running back room, although he's not able to be out there on the field. And that's why, for those 4 reasons, I'm going to call it a strength.
So for those of you who don't know or might be new to the pod, Randy is a culture guy. And so if there is ever a chance to make a culture point, Randy is going to make it. And there you go, example A. So, and I love it, for the record. I love it. So just know that that's what gets Randy fired up, is the culture points on this team. And it's not that it doesn't matter to me, but that's the bread and butter for Randy if anybody's tuning in for their first time there. So we do a whole culture segment throughout the season, and we talk to it literally every week. So yeah. Anyway, moving along. I love it. No, it's good. It's a really good point, and I love that he's doing that stuff too. You know, a guy like that could just give up and throw in the towel, and you know, uh, just call it quits. But the fact that he's still being a leader in that room is phenomenal. Because you're right, he doesn't have to, for sure. I mean, he could just say whatever, but he's not, and that's really cool. So, um, speaks to a lot of things about not only him, but where we are in this program again as an overall culture, and I think that's something we're really going to pay attention to this season because I think it's really going to matter again with the gauntlet that we're running. It's really going to play a part this year. So, going to be super interesting to keep looking at week to week. So, moving along, receiver. So, we lost Ricky, as we know, and he will be missed. All the best at San Fran. Good luck dealing with that Ayuk drama, though it sounds like it's pretty much settled now. But moving past that. With everything we've heard from the offseason, even despite that loss, I would have been hard pressed. We talked about it coming out of the winter and said, we can't say where. We even did like an on paper review and said, okay, we don't think this position group, we can't call it, upgraded on paper, right? I think we might be able to now at this point. When you hear what's going on out of camp, and again, I know you can't trust the camp talk, but man, Tank is absolutely lighting it up as a freshman. Trey is being talked about as being unguardable. I know you can't trust stuff. I get that. And I know I said it. And I'm not saying I do. But there is so much hype coming off this receiver room, and not just hype about how good they are, but the competition at every position, right? I'm hearing things about Marcus Burke being in the competition. Really? Like, KD is fighting, or not KD, sorry, K-Jack is fighting for playing time. K-Jack being Khalil Jackson. Sorry, I'm using abbreviations here. He's fighting for playing time and may actually get the starting nod despite the transfer in of Elijah Badger, who is an outstanding receiver who I think eventually will be the starter, but he may not be week one. You're seeing just all this competition across the board for position groups. And again, as I already mentioned, you have DK, who we know is a just phenomenal chemistry with Mertz. On top of that, he's set, as we mentioned last week, multiple personal speed records since he's been here, improving his speed time by like 3.5 miles per hour on the gun. It's ridiculous what's going on. Like, we got 2 receivers that can run at 23 miles an hour. We got like 4 receivers that can run at 22 miles an hour. We got speed everywhere. And I'm over the moon for this receiver group. It's absolutely a strength. I don't care that we lost Ricky. Not that I don't care, but it's still a strength despite losing Ricky is what I'm trying to say. And yes, there are things about them that I don't know. That's true. But there's enough about them that I absolutely feel that I do know that I can still call it a strength. It might be some hype buying on my part with certain things, but there's enough that I know isn't hype buying. There's enough stats that I have, whether it's those gun times, whether it's highlights I have seen with my own eyes, right, from scrimmages or practices or whatever throughout camp or the spring game, that I know that I can call this a strength. And I am excited about this room. This room looks special. And I want to know how much is Tank going to work into some formations as a freshman and get the ball, because he looks scary. Man, that kid's fast. Can't wait. Cannot wait. And this is a point that we are going to talk about further as it relates specifically to Miami, but that will come later. Talk to me about receiver. Let's go.
Man, love the enthusiasm behind it. I was going to start this off like the movie Remember the Titans, when their legendary linebacker Gary Bertier went down, and coach famously said, "You cannot replace a Gary Bertier." I was going to start off by, you cannot replace a Ricky Pearsall and what he meant to this team.
Left side,
strong side.
There you go.
Right? But here's the thing: might not be able to replace a Ricky Pearsall, who he was, but I tell you, when you look at this room and what it has to offer, we're in good hands. I will say this: last year's season preview, my bold prediction, I don't know if you remember this. I said Ricky was going to get 900 receiving yards on the year, and that was a bold prediction. And I'll be darned if he didn't get almost 1,000.
Yep.
I'll be darned.
He should have
Between,
gotten 1,000. He got
oh
robbed.
yeah, oh yeah,
Stupid collarbone. Come on, Mertz.
I tell you. Uh, but look at this room, man. Trey Wilson back in action, chip on the shoulder, right? Was not selected preseason, a certain team. Didn't say anything about it. He's just going to calmly go about his business. Khalil Jackson, legacy, fought to be here. Let me explain why. He could have very well taken his talents to the transfer portal to another school. He did not. He did not. Shamir DK reunites with Mertz. Phenomenal. Marcus Burke, that's a name everyone's looking like Burke. Okay, I think he's like 80 something. Yeah, he's 88. And Marcus Burke is out there competing with these young guys because he's got a bone to pick. Okay. Elijah Badger has come in. Arizona State. Again, we've got a lot of great talent out of ASU. Badger comes in and is running routes like nobody's business. Andy Jean, Aiden Mizell, Tank Hawkins. This is just amazing when you look at the talent that we have. Again, underdeveloped? Sure. They need scar tissue. They need reps. They need real situations. That's going to happen. But I can tell why you're so excited. I know why. There's speed. There's enthusiasm. There's competition. There's grit. There's a big old chip on the shoulder. And this wide receiver room says, all right, Graham, we heard the critics. We got to go deep. Guess what? Just throw the ball. Just throw the ball far enough. We'll catch it. We'll get there. If that's what's really going to happen this season, to have those explosive plays go up, to have the downfield passing ability be a viable threat, holy smokes. We've got some, I agree with you. We got something special cooking, and it is going to be amazing to see this breakout core of receivers help with this breakout season. Outside of that, I didn't catch your grade. Well, are we strength? Are we neutral? Are we weakness?
Strength across the way. Like I said, even though I don't necessarily know everything that I'm saying or projecting about this room, there's enough that I do know and enough that I'm so confident in based on everything that I've heard. Again, one of the most contested position groups at camp that I do know.
Yes.
It's got to be a strength. It just has to be. There's just too much talent in the room for it not to be a strength.
Agreed. And I'm with you. Don't buy the hype. Don't buy the camp hype. But when it comes from multiple publications, from multiple different reporters, whether they're accredited reporters or not, we won't go there. There's just a lot of talk as far as the grit and the competition between those positions. I will not defer, but I will agree with you and say that is definitely going to be a strength of this 2014. Yes.
Yeah, it might actually be one of the strongest position rooms on the whole team. Quarterback's up there, obviously, but this receiver room is stacked. It is stacked. And you mentioned Mizell, and I didn't. Just today, Billy was quoted as saying that Mizell has really stepped up and is showing out and making all kinds of catches, showing strength that he didn't have before. Again, strength and conditioning showing out. This strength and conditioning story may end up being quite the narrative by the time the season is done. Or even we get deeper into the season. This strength and conditioning thing, Tyler Miles, man, he may end up being the rock star of the season. We'll see. Too soon to tell, obviously, but man, it is boding very well from everything that we are hearing. And again, can't trust the hype. So we'll wait for it to play out. Moving along, tight end. A group we actually skipped inadvertently last year. We kind of lumped them in with O-line or receiver or whatever we did. I'm not sure what we did, to be honest with you, but we didn't call it out as a separate section. We'll leave it at that. And anyway, your starters here are going to be Arliss and Hayden Hansen, Arliss Boardingham, of course, and Hayden Hansen. And they're going to be extremely solid as your starters on both sides at your I believe they call it the F and the H tight end is the position they label it as.
Right.
But I have questions behind them because there's a real lack of experience. You got Livingston, and I think they're projecting currently that you may have Amir Jackson as the other backup for Arliss. That's question marks to me. I have big faith in the guys that are coming back. Certainly, they're proven, they're tested. Arliss is a receiver, Hayden is a blocker, and receiver in it when you need him. Love the first team. Certainly. Backups? I don't know. Man. We're not what I would call too deep here yet. So for me, I'm gonna go neutral. Even though I think Arliss can be absolutely phenomenal this season, it could end up being a strength depending on how that goes. But two things: we haven't proven to use tight ends consistently in the passing game. We tend to use them more as blockers in this offense. And because of the lack of depth and because of the chance of injury, not that I'm rooting for that, certainly, but you can't rule it out. I can't go past neutral here. I don't think it's going to be a weakness because the starters are experienced and proven and everything else and showed good things last year, again, in both phases of the game as tight end. But it's going to stay neutral for me. Where are you at?
It's beginning to look a lot like I agree. Yeah, it's tough because with Hayden and Arliss, I think they're going to be a good 1-2 punch. Now, whether they get and that was the funny thing too to see last year, man. Like there were games where they were there and it was great stretches. And the Vanderbilt game was phenomenal. The South Carolina game was phenomenal. And then it's like for 2 or 3 games, it's like they didn't catch a pass, which is okay. But I agree with you, right? Behind them, you got Amir Jackson and Tony Livingston. That's it. Outside of that, you got, 24-year-old Keon Zipperer or 20, whatever, still hanging around, redshirt senior,
Done.
But that's the thing. Like outside of that, you've got Caleb Rios, right? Transfer, whatever. And then Gavin Hill, redshirt freshman. Yep. That's not going to cut it. So Hayden and Arliss have to stay healthy. They have to be active, and they're going to take on a lot of the load. Now, it's really good that we did hear out of camp that Arliss has gotten much better at blocking. Hayden has embraced blocking. That's great to hear. Just want to make sure they stay healthy, and I want to make sure that they can communicate some of those things down to Tony and Amir if, in the event, we're bitten with the injury bug, which I don't want to say, of course, but again, look at Jonathan Odom last year. Jonathan had some great games, and then ACL gone, done is what it is.
Yep.
Jonathan was a big frame, big weapon, good hands, throw it high point it, all that good stuff. So Hayden and Arliss have a lot of work cut out for them this year. I was vacillating on this between weakness and neutral, and I really can't call it a weakness because I almost feel like we're in a semi-similar position. Let's say the blocking gets 10 to 20% better. I'm going to say neutral as well.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move it along. Let's go to defense. Start us off. Talk to me about D-line.
Holy smokes. What else do we want to mention about D-line other than it's been a long time coming, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's take a look at a couple of things that we've got here. Happy to see what Cam Jackson is going to bring to that line. Happy to see what Caleb Banks is going to bring to that line. Happy to see the overall combination of that with Sapp. And here's the other thing too that I'm most excited for, probably out of anything else. And I know this is just me, but Justice Boone. Great story.
Yeah, I know.
Great opportunity.
I know how pumped you are about Justice, man. I hope he brings it the way you want him to, man. I really do, because I know how psyched you are to see him play this year.
I am. I really am. And again, we've got some great pieces coming back in Cam and Sapp and Banks and Big Dez. If the strength and conditioning program really has done what it's supposed to do, could you imagine Dez a little faster and a little lighter? I mean, he already clogs up some room, so that's going to be what's going to be. But this room here specifically, we know the issues that we had last year, notably pressure, creating pressure on the quarterback, creating that O-line to go, oh, crap, creating those opportunities for our defense to get at the quarterback. This team here, I feel like in my heart of hearts is going to have a much better opportunity to do that this year. Cam's got some scar tissue. Sapp's got some scar tissue. Banks got some scar tissue. Dez has some scar tissue. Okay. Justice definitely has scar tissue. And I think it's one of those things where he is just waiting to unleash what he's been pent up for the past couple of years, right? We'll see how Joey Slackman comes into the fold. We'll see how James comes into the fold. We'll see if Mackay and LJ, Mackay Burrow, LJ McCray, we'll see how they come into flesh, true freshmen. Okay. But either way, there's some depth there. There's some great ability to pick off a couple different players. Because if I'm thinking they're going to be in a high energy situation, there's going to be a lot of subbing. We're going to want fresh bodies. So on that basis, we have the depth, we have the scar tissue. B, I'm gonna kind of take a phrase from you that you said you haven't seen it yet. Because everything else says, okay, this is going to be good, this is going to be good, this is going to be good, this is going to be okay, great. But at the end of it, we just haven't seen what it's going to be. So on that basis, I'm going to rate D-line, because I was very high on them last year. I'm going to rate my D-line as a neutral.
Wow.
No strength or weakness. I know, because I'm scared. Hold me, Tom Cruise. No, I'm just scared about it. And so that's why I'm going to rate the D-line.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So that's really funny. Mad respect though, because so really interesting. As you know, last week I picked my standout group on defense, right?
Yeah.
To be the D line. However, I haven't seen it, and because of that, I am also neutral on them. I am in agreement with you. It's really funny because I am every point you made, I couldn't agree with more. I'm excited to see all these guys play. I can't tell you who I'm most excited to see play. Boone is high on my list. I'm actually, with all the film that I've watched of kind of like drills and stuff like that, I actually think I'm really most excited to watch Sap. But Searcy might be your sleeper because he's probably going to play the most. He's probably going to be rotated the least of all those position guys. Like he might be like a kind of a first through third guy most of the time. And then certain pass rush situations, they bring in Gums. It's what it's kind of looking like. Yeah. So Searcy might be the guy that surprises you the most because I think Searcy can really play. Some people are questioning that, I feel like, and it's like, did you not watch him last year? Like if he hadn't been playing behind Princely, like he would have been a rock star. Like the reason he didn't get more is because he was just not enough playing time. But anyway, neither here nor there. Regardless, even despite the Jamari injury, which was a blow, it was a blow. I feel like I hear people kind of brushing that off, like, oh, we got a lot of depth, we're fine. Well, again, as we talked about, actually, no, we didn't talk about it because it hadn't happened yet then, right? Had it happened
yet, right.
That one hurt. That one hurt. And the reason that it hurt is because we can't just afford to lose nose tackle. That's the one position where we weren't as deep. And we're going to have to like flip some things around and make some things work and get a little creative there. I'm not saying we can't do it and we can't adapt and there isn't any depth there, but like that injury was more of a blow there than I would like to say I'm comfortable with. But nonetheless, I still think we have plenty of talent. I do think we have plenty of depth at the other positions, certainly at the F there, where Sapp and Boone and friggin' McCray and like everybody on the team is playing. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I think you can get creative there. I think you can move some guys around, maybe flip them to the other side if you need to. But I'll call something out here. And it's another Florida State reference, but bear with me. Patrick Payton did not look like the Patrick Payton I saw last year.
Oh, wow.
Without Jared Verse across from him. And what did we talk about last year? That Princely was not the same player. And it's not about Princely and it's not about Patrick Payton for the record. It's about having two guys on each side of the line complementing one another and both being able to rush so that you can't just double team one of them and not worry about the other half of the line. And that's what we were missing last year. And if we have that along with some push up the middle sometimes from Slackman or Jackson or Banks or all of the above, not going to be all of the above because they're not all three going to play at the same time, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Now everything changes. Because now you can't just go double team the one guy who can get all the pass rush or chip block him or put the running back on that side or whatever, right? Now you have to account for both. And that's what made Florida State so gross last year on the D line. And they were gross. Don't get it twisted. They were nasty. You saw them in that game against us. They destroyed Max Brown. It's very difficult when both of your edge rushers are good. We did not have that last year. If we have it this year, this will be a strength. And my fingers are crossed that that's what I get to see, but I can't say it until I see it. So it's neutral for me too. So moving along, linebacker. Let's go. Get me pumped up about the boys in the middle.
There you go, man. Yeah, great points about Jamar and great points about Searcy coming around the corner there on Jack and complimenting that other side. Big difference from when it comes from a balanced attack position. Linebacker, here we go. Shamar James coming back. The knee is good. The cap is healed and healthy. He's ready to have a breakout year. Breakout years.
Yes, sir.
A little known transfer, Grayson Howard. He goes by Pup.
He gonna go by dog by the time the season's over.
Exactly. He might go by Pup, but I tell you what, he is no pup when it comes to his ability to hit. Okay, Derek Wingo, Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, Jaden Robinson. This is a squad, and I'm telling you right now, compared to last year, this is going to be my big pick as far as see, because again, I know I'm excited to see Justice Boone play, sealing off that edge, attacking. But I'm telling you what, this linebacker position has me hyped to do some hitting, to do some awesome tackling. Because let's face it, with Will Harris coming in, tackling should be vastly improved compared to what it was. So I would say that the linebacker room this fall 2024 is not a weakness, is not a neutral. It is a strength. It is a strength.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We're lining up on a lot of these. I'm a little surprised, but we're mostly in sync on. I shouldn't be surprised we're in sync. We tend to do that. And by the way, we didn't mention this. We make all these notes, make all these points. For those of you who might be listening for the first time, we do not discuss any of this prior to this show.
Oh yeah.
These points are not discussed prior. We have an agenda that we set up with each other, but we do not discuss our talking points. I don't know what Randy's picking for these. He doesn't know what I'm picking for these. We find out live as we record. We do not know prior. So just so you know, this is not scripted in terms of anything other than the agenda. And we just go at it and talk about it as we go down and record this thing. So I didn't know he was going to call this a strength. I am not shocked because I think it is too. But a lot of this alignment that you're seeing is just based on the evaluation of stuff that we're seeing, and it doesn't surprise me that we align on a lot of these things because I think a lot of these things are pretty clear. And this one's definitely clear to me. This might be the biggest swing from last year or from year to year of any position group that I think I see on this team. Huge gains from recruiting, from player development, and from the portal. I mean, it's across the board. We go from what was a clear weakness last year, aside from James, obviously, but he was like the only bright spot in a sea of darkness. Good Lord, to what I am confident will be a strength this year for sure. Pup and James are going to be the starters, and they are, by all indication anyway, and they are going to be absolutely excellent from everything that we have seen. Pup is huge. He is 6'4", but he can move. He can tackle. Fun little stat for you that I dropped a couple pods back when we were highlighting him. He had 0 missed tackles last year. Now, he didn't get a ton of snaps at South Carolina as a freshman, but when he did not miss a tackle. So, fun stat there. And I'm with you on James having a breakout year this year. He is going to be, he was good last year before he got hurt. He's going to be better this year. And I think he's going to stay healthy. So I am really excited to see them, but we also have solid depth behind. We have situational guys that can come in. I'm hearing phenomenal things actually about Jaden Robinson in camp. We know Wingo can come in situationally for run packages and blitz packages, and you know he will do that well. Just don't ask him to cover anybody. Love the guy, but please don't ask him to cover. And then the freshman. Oh my, the freshman. Childs, who's being described as an alien, coming in and doing 315-pound deadlifts that James is in there doing. He's like, oh, let me try that, and rocking it out. It's ridiculous. And then Miles Graham, of course, who is just looking absolutely outstanding out there as well. We have talent, we have depth, and we have a strength at linebacker. And man, it has been a minute since we could say that with confidence. And I say it with a lot of confidence. This is one of the stronger, I can't call it the strongest, but it's one of the stronger rooms of the entire defensive, of all the defensive units. And I can say that with confidence. I can't necessarily say it's the strongest because I think that is going to be the next one we talk about. But this is, it is up there. And that is phenomenal to be able to say. So strength without question. Really excited to see these guys play. And I think this is a huge difference maker in where we are as a defense and in where we are in some of the metrics that we're going to, be able to talk to and see. So moving along, let's talk corner. What do we got?
Oh, baby. Oh, baby, the corner position. I tell you what, this is another position that we're excited for a couple of reasons. When you look at a Devin Moore coming back, Jason Marshall, which we've had our qualms with Jason Marshall, but I am really, really excited to see what he's going to be able to bring this year, what he's going to be able to do, the leadership role, the maturity, everything. Because if those of you remember, he is one of the remaining, I want to say 7 or 8 left over from Mullen.
Yeah. And it's a little more than that, but not many. I think it's actually like 12 or 13, but still.
Okay. And this was someone who never really played up to that 5-star when he was first recruited. But I tell you what, we saw a change in him mid last season, and he's poised to have a breakout year. So we're really excited to see him play for sure. Jakeem Jackson. Okay. Dejon Johnson. That's going to be phenomenal as far as what they're going to be able to back up that room with. And that's the other thing too. When you've got some other people coming down the pipeline, as far as you want to call it corner side, switch over some a little bit safety, but you've got a lot of other people there in the mix. You've got Castells, who's going to start, Asa Turner. You got a couple different backups there in Bridges, Douglas, Thornton. Here's another room that I think is going to be vastly improved compared to last year. Vastly improved. The talent is there, and especially not to mention with getting someone like a Turner and a Douglas, or a Turner and a Bridges in the portal, absolutely huge. And the other thing that
Turner's going to play safety, and Bridges could play corner or safety, but Turner I think is pretty much exclusively going to play safety, right?
Sure, he'll go. Bridges could go back and forth,
right?
But that's the other thing, man. I don't.
Well, you know what? They did say. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they did say that Turner could play some star, I guess. So that is possible. I retract. Correct. You're right. He could play some star. I don't think he's gonna though. I don't think he's gonna need to, because I think Sharif and Gates are gonna handle that.
But that's the other thing too. Look at right now, as far as Sharif's going to be there. Aaron's going to back him up. Then you have Josiah Davis. Basically, people, if it's not clear to you, last year we had how many freshmen start a game, B?
I think it ended up being like 8 by the end of the season. It was 7 or 8 that started, and like 14 that played at one point or another. 14 or 15. It was ridiculous, the number that played.
Correct. Freshman with a freshman-ish DC in AA. Okay. Look at, especially in the corner position and the safety position, but look at this. Look at the depth that we have. We've got a couple of players that can go both ways. Either way, extremely excited to see what this group is going to do to give a lot of balance to the back end of the field. So we need explosive plays, but at the same time, they are also going to be able to limit those explosive plays. I mean, good luck trying to throw on Marshall and Moore right now. The way it stands.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I agree. And that's my one point is Moore has to stay healthy, which I think he can. A lot of his injuries have been kind of fluky. You know, he had a concussion. He had the leg thing the year before that, which wasn't like a soft tissue deal. It was some kind of like, I don't even remember what it was, honestly, at this point. But it was, he hasn't had like traditional injuries, right? So I'm hoping that is something that he can do. So I'm with you. Absolutely a strength. I think it's the strongest room on the team on defense. The starters are potentially both first round draft picks. That's the potential in Moore and Marshall. I'm not saying it will happen, but they could be that good. But even if they aren't that good, they're going to be very good. Moore, I think, ends up being the best cover corner on the whole team. But Marshall's game showed real improvement, as you said, in the back half of the season. The starters are phenomenal, but the backups are also very good. Deshaun Johnson was a top 100 corner and has showed that he can play in coverage so far in the offseason this year. Jakeem Jackson showed he could do it last year as a freshman. He put some coverage on film, buddy. I mean, he made some mistakes as a freshman, don't get me wrong, but that's what you do as a freshman. He has shown he can cover, though. So the backups are there as well. Then you talk about, again, Douglas and Bridges can potentially come down and play these spots if they need to as well, though they're probably going to be used more at safety. And then you go to Star, and again, we're covered up at nickel with Sharif probably as the starter. But Gates is fighting him tooth and nail for it. And we saw Sharif play in the spring game, and he looked amazing. So if Aaron Gates is fighting him tooth and nail, oh, buddy, then they're both really good. So I am very pleased with all the positions at corner there. I think we've really got some opportunity there. So definitely a strength, no question. Moving along, let's talk safety. What do you got?
Hey, man. Castells, Turner, enough said. Outside, I don't not enough said, but you got Asa Turner coming in from Washington, of course, as we know what he did there. His old positional coach, Will Harris, when he was at Washington. So that's a match made in heaven right there. Castell's going to come back and have a phenomenal – folks, Jordan, I know it seems like we've talked about Castell a lot, but he's a sophomore. He's a true sophomore, okay? And he's poised to have a breakout season this year coming up. Got DJ Douglas, you got Bryce Thornton, and that's the other side of where Trquez is going to come in, Trquez Bridges. So outside of that, the safety position is there's a lot of scar tissue there. There's a lot of good bones there, a lot of competition there as well. So the star position is something that I would list, believe it or not, as a strength over neutral and weakness.
Okay, so we're going to differ here. I have it neutral because I haven't seen Turner play here. Heard a lot of good things. I mean, I've seen him play at Washington, but I haven't seen him play here. Don't know he's going to play in the SEC. Castell, I'm hearing phenomenal things about, but I'm not buying camp hype. And he was good last year, but he a lot of freshman mistakes. Think he's going to clean a lot of that up. Think it's going to be a lot better. We have a lot more depth. We have Douglas and Bridges and everything else.
Yeah.
It's a soft neutral. I'm leaning into strength big time, but it's still a neutral, but it's a soft one because I am definitely thinking it is probably going to end up being a strength. It certainly, all appearances are this ends up being a strength, but we ain't there yet. And it's still going back to that vibe of you got to prove it to me. But I'm probably the most confident that this is the one of all the ones I've labeled as neutral that could be strengths. This is the one I think ends up being a strength the most confidently. I think they all can be, but this is the one that really stands out to me that I'm pretty sure it's going to be, but I'm not going to call it one till I see it. So just keeping with that vibe. Gonna stay with it, gonna stay true to it. I don't have the proof. Last year it was not a strength, even though Castell showed flashes, it was a weakness. So, and I called for that. I said I thought it would be. But this is one that I'll say neutral because I think we make steps for sure. But it's again, I think it's going to be better than that, and I'm looking forward to it. So, special teams, quick and simple, kicking, Trey, strength, should be solid. Only question mark I have on him is how's the clutch gene look when we need him. Had a little hiccup on that in Arkansas, of course. But overall, I think he's solid. He certainly has the leg. What's the clutch gene look like as the year goes along? As long as that stays, pretty solid. And I'm not saying I don't think he is clutch. I just think, you're always going to miss one here or there. But the clutch is the only question I really still kind of have a little outstanding because he didn't have a ton of moments where he had to do that last year. And maybe kind of the one he did, he didn't get it done. Right. So I'll say that's my only little question mark there, but I'm still calling it a strength. He's got way too much leg talent, way too much accuracy, and he's way too good on kickoffs not to be a strength. So strength for me on Trey. What do you got?
Trey's going to be a strength. Yes, there was a hiccup at Arkansas. Outside of that, he's going to kick for over 90% field goals this year.
Ooh, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Okay, fine. I'll keep him at 90. Either way, 90 or above.
No, you're allowed. You're allowed. Hey, you're allowed.
That's the number because last year he came daggum close, even with the miss at Arkansas.
Well, he missed. We called him for 85 last year, and he just missed it. But he didn't get as many opportunities, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll take it. But either way, strength. He's coming back, chip on shoulder, veteran. He's been there. He's done that. He's got the shirt. So definitely strength.
All right, good deal. Punting, Crawshaw. We know strength. We know disrespect. Second team All SEC is a bunch of malarkey. I don't know who this Alabama punter is, but he ain't as good as Crawshaw. Sorry, don't care. It's wrong. Crawshaw is your first team's SEC punter. If he doesn't end up being that by the end of the season, I will eat a bunch of crow. Mark it down. Take your receipt. Crawshaw. He might win the Ray Guy. He's that good. Mark it down. There you go.
I dig it. I'm not sure, I first of all, strength, 100% agree with you. The second thing, though, I'm not sure, especially from a recruiting standpoint, as far as who we have coming in.
There's one in the class. We have a punter in the class. He's rated as a 3-star, but according to the kicking guys, he's one of like 19 or 22 or however many number there are. He's a 5-star by the kicking services on the punter. He's like the 19th best punter in the country or something.
I get it, right? Out of Maine, it's freaking cold up there, right? If I had my druthers, I'd go back to down under. I'd go back to Australia, get another kicker from there. But it's all good. Still a strength. Crawshaw's the man. Keep the mustache, and we're going to pin he's going to pin a lot of teams deep this year. Have them work from the back end of the field.
Yeah, that stash game is nasty. And here's another thought for you. With all this receiver speed, right? How many of these guys are going to be on special teams? And when Crawshaw kicks one deep and would typically outkick his coverage, how many of these guys are going to be gunning down the field? And these returners are going to think they have a lane, and then all of a sudden they don't. Watch out for that. Watch out for that. I am excited to watch that happen. Okay, moving along. Returners. Speaking of special teams, returners. We'll get to a keep it or pitch it point on this in just a moment, but could be a huge strength this year. Now, I got to tell you, we saw an article a while back talking about some numbers on Tank. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but I'm hearing all kinds of things about returners. And I don't know if it's just Billy playing games because he doesn't want to give away who's really going to return stuff or whatever. And I don't know who's going to return it, to be honest with you. But I am so hopeful that Tank gets a role in the return game. I don't care if it's kick returns, punt returns, somewhere. Get this kid the ball in space on a return. Because, man, I want to see it. He is dynamic, and his numbers, again, there is documentable research. I won't get into the details, but there are comparables to Tyreek Hill, and I'll leave it at that. And if you got comparables to the cheetah, you can move. So I want to see it. And we saw already in the spring game that he can also cut. So if you can move like that and you can cut, hello, show me a return. So could be a huge strength, but I don't know how it's going to play out. The talent available at multiple different guys. It's not even just Tank. Abrams. We didn't even talk about Abrams in the receiver room, by the way. we left him out because there's another receiver who is true freshman who can play. It's off the charts. Mizell, maybe. I don't know if he's got the cutting ability. He's got the speed, but I don't know if he has a cutting ability. Trey. Yeah. I don't know if I want to see Trey back there because of risk of injury, but
no.
But man, he's dynamic. I don't know. The list just goes on and on. Some of those guys don't always materialize. You got to have the hands, and you got to have the ability to read the coverage and look at the ball kind of simultaneously, especially on punts, right? It's hard. So it doesn't always work out the way we want it to in those situations. So I'm actually going to say neutral here until I see what we put on the field. Oh. Because I don't know. Because Billy's playing games with me, and he's not telling me who the returners are. So until I know who's returning kicks and what it looks like. Now, listen, if I see a depth chart and it's punt returner Tank Hawkins and it's kick returner Tank Hawkins and somebody else, strength. Right now. I'll put it out there. I will change this pick. But until I know who he lists as the returners, which I don't until Wednesday, neutral.
Just the fact that we have some options compared to what we had previously, just the fact that we now have an on-field analyst / coach / everything in Joe Houston.
Shout out to Joe Houston.
Shout out to Joe. Strength. I'm just going to say that real simple. Right. Strength.
Hey, it definitely could be. I am. It's only because Billy's playing games with my heart right now, man. That's all. No, fair enough. I like strength. I do. And I really think it could be. I'm only staying neutral, but just because I don't know who the heck's going to return kicks. He's telling me they got 5 guys that can do it. Well, tell me which one's doing it then. But anyway, All right, let's move on. Keep it or pitch it time. Let's do it.
Move
2024 season. 2024 season. Keep it or pitch it. And we'll start off in the same theme that we just left on. Number 1. And it's been a minute, and I don't know. We should have done research on when the last time we actually had one of these, because I don't think it goes all the way back to Brandon James, but it friggin' might. No, I'm sure it doesn't. I think Antonio Callaway took one to the house, honestly, but I'm going off memory there, so don't quote me on it. So the Gators will have a kick or punt return for a touchdown this season. Keep it or pitch it. Go.
I am going to keep it.
I love it. I'm with you. I'm keeping it. I think we get one. I think at some point Tank is returning kicks or touchdowns, and I think he's the one to do it. I'm going to even tell you who I think does it. I could be wrong. Could be Abrams. Could be Trey. Could be a plethora. Could be Katie Daniels back there taking a kick return to the house. Man, that kid can fly too. So I don't even know. But there's so many options here. Again, there's so much speed on the field. So much speed, so much agility, so many quicks out there. I would be shocked if we do not find a way to get the ball in the right hands to do this. I'd be very surprised. And again, we have a very good special teams coordinator now who's going to be able to coach on the field. So I got faith. I think we're going to do it. I think we take one back. So I'm with you. Keep it. Okay. I'll make notes of this as we go.
Yeah, either way.
Because we got to document this for later to check back on us. Okay. All right. Number 2. What do we got? Talk to me about number 2. Go.
The Gators defense will have over 29.5 team sacks this season.
All right. For those of you who do not know, we had 22 last year. And the way we're coming up with this number, it's not arbitrary. We looked back at multiple different seasons. The team sack number from past seasons is harder to find than you might think, by the way. Spent a lot of time researching this. We found multiple different seasons, multiple different numbers. It's very hard to find what the highest number ever is, though. That was extremely hard to find. I'm still not sure I know it, so I'm not going to quote it. However, 29.5 is the number. So in other words, 30, we hit it. 29, we don't, obviously. I'm keeping it. I think we get to 30 this year. I think between the linebacker play, the blitz packages that we run in this defense, the D-line improvements that we have, the push that we can get in the middle, all of the above, the pressure from both edges that we've already discussed, I think we get to 30 this year. Now, I do not think we have a single player that goes over 8, maybe even 7. I think it's spread out amongst the team here, but I think we get to 30 as a team. What's your pick?
Nice. Keep it all day long. There's an improvement up front. There's improvement on the edge. There's improvement at Jack. There is improvement. The scheme's going to be better. They're playing. We heard a lot of it out of camp. We heard a lot of it there over the SEC media days, between the guys talking about the disrespect, talking about a certain matchup with a certain team up north. At the end of the day, that's a keep. We're going to hit that. It's going to be an overhaul, and it's going to be fun. The Gators are going to feast. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. All right, so I'm going to look to your insight on this next one because I know some of these off the top of my head, but I'm not sure I know all of them. So 3 that would come to mind quickly would be delay game, offside, false start.
Yeah.
But is like an eligible receiver downfield qualify in this mix? Is that a procedural penalty, or is that because the play's already going on? We don't really qualify that. It's all pre-snap, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, pre-snap essentially.
Okay, so if it's all pre-snap, then those are going to be your 3 big ones. Illegal motion,
illegal shift, right?
Yep, illegal shift or illegal motion, that would qualify. Anything else you can think of? That's probably going to be the bulk of it.
Delay of game? Did you call it delay of game?
Yeah, I call it delay of game. Maybe a weird false start on the quarterback, right? That's still a false start, but it's like, the head movement or something, the fake count or something like that. There can be some weird ones, but anyway, here is your call. The Gators will average under 3 procedural penalties per game. So pre-snap procedural stuff, what we just listed: offsides, false start, delay a game. Those are your 3 biggies, right? Those are your 3 biggest ones. There can be some other stuff, like we said, illegal shifts, illegal motions, right? Things of that nature. Not lining up properly, right? Not enough men on the line. That's one, right? That's a procedural thing. That one we got called on us a couple times last year, right? Not enough men on the line of scrimmage at the time of the snap. That's another one. Those are procedural things. Executional penalties, right? We talked about organizational excellence last week as being a thing we really wanted to see more of. Excellent organizational discipline. This goes to that. So, under 3 procedural penalties a game. Keep it or pitch it. Go.
Although we're going to be better, although there's going to be more organization, although the other thing is the timing of some of those procedural penalties really killed us last year, right?
Yes, it did.
We're going to be better. We're going to be better, but we won't have it completely fixed yet. Pitch it.
We differ. I'm keeping it. And if we are not under 3, because I initially set this line at 2.5, and we raised it to 3. And if we're not under 3, I'm going to pitch a fit. I am going to lose it. We better be under 3 as an average. Not saying it has to be there every game, but as an average, we better be under 3, or I'm going to lose it. I'm keeping it because we better be. Organizational excellence. I want to see it, Billy. Let's go. You got more time. You got more time to devote, right? You're not hung up on building the operation anymore. The systems are built. Let me see it. Under 3. Let's go. All right. Moving along.
All right. The Gators offense will average 31.5 points per game. So for reference, 28.4, good for number 57 last year. Keep it or pitch it, B.
Yep. So 28.4 points per game last year. We're asking for a basically 3-point per game increase this season. Now, I have a caveat here. And the caveat is I am pitching it, but it's because of the schedule. And what I mean by that is because we are playing 11 Power 4 opponents. That's 11 Power 4 defenses I don't think that we can raise the offensive bar quite that much. Close, though. We'll be over 30 for sure. We might even edge over 31, but I don't think we can get to 31.5. So I'm pitching it, but it's close. It is close. What do you got?
It's really close. And I debated throwing it out of bounds. Like keep it, pitch it, or just but I tell you what, because of the schedule, because of the defenses that we will be facing, because of some of the road situations, that is a pitch for me as well.
All right, I dig it. Yeah, I get it. It's tight though. We definitely have a shot at it, but I just don't think we can quite do it. So the last keep it or pitch it for the season.
Yeah.
And again, we'll do Miami here in a minute. For the season, we'll go to the defensive side of the ball on scoring. The Gators defense will hold opponents to 24.5 points per game. Last year, we were 27.58, which was good for number 75 in the country. Not very good in 2023. However, we know some reasons why that happened. Keep it or pitch it, we'll keep it under 24.5 this season. And by the way, these numbers, we should have specified. Both of these numbers would have put us inside the top 50 if we had been at them last season. That's why we picked them.
Yes. As much as I want to keep it, I've got to pitch it. It's going to be really tough to see some of these offenses. Lane Kiffin, Texas, Georgia. I get it. The main thing is to keep them at bay, not let them hang 47. Those games are going to be especially tough. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pitch. I want to say we get close. Maybe we get to 25 and some change, maybe 26. That's still good to move us up 15 places, but that's why I'm going to pitch it, B.
Well, and again, it was good enough to move us that number last year. I'm interested to see how it looks this year because a lot of teams they're not playing schedules as hard as ours, but they're playing harder schedules because of all these conference realignments. I'm with you. Very close. Very close. I think 25 something is the number. But I don't think we can quite get down to 24.5. But I have a lot of faith in this defense. I think they are much better. I think in the 25 range is absolutely the number, but not quite as low as 24.5. I'm with you, which means we agree on 4 out of 5 of these, which is very different from last year. Interesting. Wow. Interesting. Wow. So we'll see if we're right. All right. Good stuff. All right. Moving along. Let's move to Miami next week. Hello. Okay. Here we go. Game week, baby. Canes are coming. I still want all the smoke. I still want it all. Let's go.
We want it.
All right. So let's talk Miami. Let's talk about what they want to do.
Yeah.
What they're going to try to do. What they think they want to do. All right. So we know they want to run. That's what it comes down to. Cristobal is always a run-first guy. He was an offensive lineman. For those who don't know, he's always going to have a more run-focused offense or a more run-first offense anyway. But also, it's going to be the smart play to quiet the crowd or try to quiet the crowd. I don't know how quiet that crowd's getting on Saturday, man. We're going to be fired up in there. And control the clock, right? It's going to be the smart play is to try to run the ball wherever you can, right? To that end, Miami ranked 44th in rushing offense last season at 173 yards per game. It's pretty good. Pretty good number. So, keep it or pitch it. The Gators will hold Miami to under 135 yards of rushing offense. So just shy of 40 yards less than their season average last year. What do you got?
Survey says, as much as I want to keep it, I'm going to pitch it. Here's why. First thing is, because of that hostile environment that is the swamp. I get it. They play in Coral Gables. They play down south as well. But Coral Gables has a slight breeze. This is the swamp. Cam Ward, first SEC road game. He might be a little shook. Cristobal is going to want to put together a particular game plan for him. It's going to involve a lot of rushing. I still believe we can hold him under $150. I don't think we can hold him under $135. That's the reason for the pitch.
I am literally exactly aligned with you. That's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Dead on. Pitch it, but super close. I think 150 is your number, maybe even 145. It is razor thin,
Okay.
but I don't think we keep it under 135 for a team with backs that, again, strong offensive line here. Though the middle of the offensive line is a little bit of a question mark, but the outside is very strong. But big backs that have tended to give us a little more problems. I do think we tackle better. I think Asa Turner is a huge factor in the run game here. I think your linebackers are a huge factor in the run game here, and I think we definitely contain the run, but I do not think we can stop it to the degree of 135. I think they just announced that their second back or whatever, their alternate back or whatever is going to play. Looks like he's recovered from the Liz Frank. I don't like 135 enough to say I'm going to keep it, but it is close. Love it. Love the call. Right there with you.
Good deal. Good deal. Awesome. All right. Next one. Let's talk about passing yards, right?
Yes, let's.
So, for those of you who don't know, Miami's biggest defensive liability was their secondary, outside of their coaching decisions within 1 minute.
That might really be their biggest liability, but good call.
Oh man, Miami fans hate us. It's okay. Florida averaged 259.6 yards per game passing last season. Miami allowed 216 yards per game passing. Okay. Here's the keep it or pitch it. Florida will pass for over 290 yards this Saturday in the Swamp. Keep it or pitch it.
So I believe that we are going to beat Miami this Saturday. I'm going to give you one of my picks, my first pick right now.
Hey.
If we are going to beat Miami this Saturday, we have to make this stat come true. Keep it.
Oh, baby. Wow. What? That's all I have to say is wow. And also, I'm keeping it as well. Wow.
Love it.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is
absolutely,
without question, this is the number one mismatch, I think, on the entire field, is our receivers versus their secondary. I don't think there's a bigger mismatch in talent on the field, period. I really don't. Now, Reuben Bain versus Crenshaw Dixon, possibly. That one player. But if you're talking position group versus position, I'm sorry to say it, but he's nasty, and I'm not sure Crenshaw Dixon can keep up. But you can double team and you can do things. You can chip block, right? There's things you can do to offset that. However, position group to position group, I don't think there's a bigger mismatch on the field than our receivers to their secondary. If we don't take advantage of that, shame on us, and we maybe don't deserve to win. But I think we will, enough that we will get over this number and we will win the game.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
All right, last one for Miami. The Gators held opponents to, believe it or not, this stat may shock you, 35.6% conversion on third down last season. What? Wait, what? That's pretty good. That's actually very good. Who knew that number was there? But it's true. I can document it for you. 35.6% conversion on third down last season, despite our struggles with the big plays, because that was really where the issue was last year. Most of our defensive numbers are actually really good last season, except for explosives. It's crazy. It's remarkable. Yards per play, because of explosives. So yards per play is contributed to by explosives, right? It was explosives that killed this defense last year. Almost every other metric besides yards per play, because of explosives, again, is really good on defense, and this is another one that's pretty damn good. So, once again, 35.6 was the number last year, but Miami converted 41.4% of the time on third down. So, the Gators will hold the Canes to under 37% conversion on third down in the Swamp on Saturday. Keep it or pitch it.
Big road. I mentioned earlier, big road game, a lot of noise, new quarterback. Cristobal can't coach. They're gonna have a ground game. Our linebackers, our defensive core is improved. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it.
So it was close for me, but I'm pitching it.
Okay.
But I mean,
Okay.
razor thin, razor thin. It could be 37.5 by the way I'm looking at it. I don't know, obviously, but it is going to be really close to this number. But I'm just going to err on the side of, I think, so one of the things we saw this weekend in a lot of the games were that the number of possessions are shortened, right? So you don't necessarily get as many third downs. Therefore, converting even a few raises your percentage significantly. So I'm thinking just from a statistical standpoint here that they might be just slightly over it. I think it is high 30s. I just think it's slightly higher 30s than 37. Like it's right there though. So I don't think it's enough to make a significant difference, but I've got it over 37. All right. So
Fair enough.
a little discussion right here, and I won't take long with it, but a little discussion about college football 25 and some sims that I ran. So
There you
I ran
go.
a bunch of simulations of this game, just in exhibition mode, of the current rosters, which I won't get into my discussions about some of the player ratings and how I think some of them are wrong. We'll leave that for maybe another time. I'm hoping that there's an update coming for the season and maybe beyond in the season that reflects some more accurate player ratings. But leaving that alone, I ran 20 sims with Montrell and 20 sims without Montrell because we don't know if he's going to play. In the 20 with Montrell, we went 10 and 10. So very, very evenly matched game. However, in the 20 without Montrell, we went 14 and 6, meaning 14 wins and 6 losses.
Whoa, mama.
Additionally, we had a larger margin of victory. We allowed fewer points per game. We had more total offense per game because of passing yards. I'll get there in a second. Our defense was better. Our time of possession was better. We were basically better in every metric except one. Would you like to guess which one it was? Rushing yards per game.
There you go.
Not shocking, right? Because why? The computer adjusted and said, hey, our running back on this team is not as good now, which is true. Tran Webb is probably not as good as Montrell Johnson. I don't argue that. So what did they do? They passed the ball more and took advantage of what mismatch that we just called out? Our receivers versus their corners. And what happened? We were way better, way more effective, moved the ball more efficiently, scored more points, gave up less points because we had a greater time of possession and therefore our defense was more effective. It all made a ton of sense, actually. I actually give the game a ton of credit here, not necessarily because it didn't identify this as a mismatch up front and should have kind of played this as a strategy to begin with. However, when you removed Montrell and forced Florida to pass more because it was the now preferred option, right? Which does make sense. All of a sudden, we get way better. Super, super interesting. So the key takeaway here is, and we're gonna do some form of this, I think, going forward every week now that we have this game at our disposal and we can kind of mess with it. We're never going to use it as a predictor for the outcome of games, right? The fact that we went 10 and 10 or 14 and 6, I don't care about that. I don't care. That's irrelevant. I'm not going to use this as a score predictor or anything like that. That's I don't trust it like that. There's no way. However, what I did find super interesting here is that it found that when you passed more against Miami, you did better. And that does make a ton of sense based on what we've identified as a key matchup deficiency in this game. So it goes back to the point that I made earlier when we were talking about keep it or pitch it. We have got to take advantage of those matchups. I think we will. I think Napier is a good enough coach to identify those things and find areas of opportunity. For those that don't know, interestingly enough, we actually passed the ball at a higher percentage than we ran last season, despite Napier's want to lean into the run more. So I would call for that to happen again in this game, certainly. And I think we have a really good shot at it. Any thoughts on that from you?
First of all, super interesting. Secondly, love the analytics. Third, makes a lot of sense. If Trell's not healthy, we're not going to rely on the run game as much. No disrespect to our backs. No disrespect to Webb. No disrespect to Ball. Get it. I understand the game plan's got to shift. But again, when you look at strategy here, and obviously Miami's biggest deficiency, yeah, throw the rock, expose it, right?
100%. I mean, again, it
So,
should be this strategy regardless. Whether he
yeah,
plays or doesn't, this is what we need to do.
very telling. Very telling.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was super cool. And these are the kind of things that I want to be able to find and kind of pull out of each week's matchup. So again, what are we going to find with Samford next week? I don't know. Can't tell you what we're going to produce there. Maybe there'll be something, I don't know, but maybe there's some kind of nugget I can pull out of there, but it's not going to be, how many points did we win by, right?
Right.
and frankly, I can't even line up Samford because they don't have FCS opponents on there. They only have like generic teams. So I'll have to kind of be messing around with that anyway. So anyway, that one may not prove to be as interesting as these did. But anyway, moving along. Last but not least, 2024 season predictions. Let's go. Break down the schedule. Start us off. You already know my pick. What's your pick? Miami, week 1. Give it to me.
All I'm going to say is the Florida Gators have a home opening win streak at 34 games coming into this Saturday. It will be extended to 35. Florida.
My man. I love it. I'm with you. I am still shocked at this line. I cannot believe we are not favored in a home opener, despite that win streak. Against a team that we are not any less talented than on paper, right? The 247 composite just came out for team rankings this week. We were ranked above Miami by 2 spots. I don't get it. So yeah, it's a win for me. I don't see how it's not a win, honestly. And I don't mean that like we can't win the game, but as a pick, the more and more I think about this game, it is just not logical for me not to pick a win here. We certainly can lose. They're pretty evenly matched teams. It could definitely go either way. I'm not saying that. But as a pick, as what makes sense, as the smart money, if you will, it's Florida to win this game. So right there with you. All right, moving on. Samford, week 2. We talked about this when we did the schedule breakdown. Pretty easy call. I'm pretty sure we're going to be in alignment that this is a win. Agreed?
Agreed. Win.
Yep. Should be fun to see some of the backups get some playing time here. Easy W. Be nice to see Lagway get in probably in the third quarter and get some playing time. So there you go. All right. Florida West. As Randy mentioned, for those who don't know, this is Texas A&M. We call them Florida West because they have like 3 of our players from last year's team, 4 of our coaches. I'm exaggerating, but kind of. They do have
Not really.
literally 2 coaches and 2 players, at least, maybe 3. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
Definitely 2. They got a bunch of people that were on our team last year in staff and player personnel that decided to transfer out to Texas A&M, so we call them Florida West. So that's the joke if you don't know it, and there you go. So what do you got?
Florida West is coming back to the swamp. There's some disrespect there. A couple players. I'm not going to say that. Mike Elko's a good coach. He's not that good of a coach. There's a lot of pressure on him over there. College Station. Gators win.
Wow. Okay. So this one was really hard for me. But I have it as a close loss.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough for me to do it. I absolutely think we can win this game. But it's a hard thing to start out with as many tough games as we have. Texas A&M is still loaded with talent. They have an absolute ton of talent on this team still. And while Mike Elko may not be the greatest coach, he is still a very organized coach. Though it was interesting to hear about Hamilton saying that the program wasn't necessarily organized. That surprised me.
Yes.
So that did kind of give me pause here. This one could really go either way, but I have it as a close loss. but it could absolutely go the other way. I'm very up in the air about this game, but I have it picked as a close loss. All right, moving along. At Mississippi State, a game that Randy will be doing a solo on the pod for because I will be out of the country, FYI. I have this as a close win. Not a definitive win, a close win. Even though we are much more talented than Mississippi State, it is a tough place to play. We are not historically good on the road. I hope I am wrong and it is a convincing win, but I do think we get the W here because of the talent gap, because the team plays well, because we have composure with Mertz at quarterback. I think this is a Mertz-led game here. I think this is a kind of upperclassman-led game here. A lot of road leadership by the upperclassmen guys, and they get it done, but close win. Close win. But I got the W.
They're going to need a whole lot more cowbell in Starkville to pull this one out. Gators win.
All right. Fair enough.
It's not the B. Well, what do you? I'm just curious. I'm just curious because if I'm honest, I'll go back and say Texas A&M. Although I put it as a win, it's a close win. What's your definition of a close win? Are we talking 3? Are we talking 7? Or is it situational? Is it 5 minutes left to go?
One score or less is close.
Okay.
Fair. So one score or less. So 7 or 8 or whatever, one possession game or less. One possession win or less. So I guess technically 8, but we'll call it 7 or less.
Deal. So Texas A&M is a close win for me then, and then Mississippi State is a close win. Fair enough.
Okay, yeah. So I'm with you. I think it's close there because it is a harder road to play on, or harder road environment to play in, but I still think we get the W. All right. For those that don't know, we then have a bye week before UCF. So there will be a bye week after. And then we get UCF at home. What do you got?
Yeah. Gus Malzahn, worried about him. Not necessarily worried about KJ because I know KJ lit us up, especially in the fourth quarter last year in overtime for Arkansas. New scheme, new system, new things. They're not going to be able to pull it together in time, and they're not going to be able to defeat us in the swamp. So Gators win. Yeah,
I got a win here too. The bye week is key for me here. I think having that bye week for preparation and rest and recovery is crucial. Getting that extra week in here before this game is a huge difference maker. I'm still a little angsty about this game, but having that bye week makes all the difference in the world here. I got this as a win. Solid win. I think a little revenge on KJ.
Yeah.
And even though Gus Malzahn does not thrill me as an opponent for a coach because of some of the stuff he can scheme up, I have trust in the defense this year, and I think we're going to get this one done. And I don't think they can stop us offensively is the issue, really. It may be a little higher scoring than I'd like to see, but I think we get it done. All right. At Tennessee. This one's tough for me. I can totally see this game going either way. We always play Tennessee tough. Even when we're outmatched, we play them tough. But I got it as a close loss. I think it's a really good game, though. I think it's a super good game. It's one of those that comes down tight again. I think, again, because of the improved defense, it's close, but I don't think we quite pull it off in Knoxville. But honestly, we could just as easily win this one. This one is, I've been back and forth on this game all year. To me, this one could go either way.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you. I've vacillated on this one as well, and I'm like, okay, Malavia first year, and I get it. He tore up Iowa in the Cheez-It Bowl last year, but at the end of the day, Heupel's had some time to work with him. They've got a couple of great pieces coming back. James Pierce is back, so they're gonna have some anchors on defense. They have stars at the wide receiver position and the running back position. It's in Tennessee. It's checkerboard day or checkerboard whatever, where it's going to be orange and white, and Nealon's going to be rocking. Tough environment, close loss.
Yeah, I'm with you. So as much as it annoys me to say this next one, I'll let you say it first. Kentucky, homecoming.
Homecoming, big deal. This is where we restart the winning streak against the Wildcats. Gators win at home at homecoming. bringing back the winning tradition. Stoops has to retool some positions. Quarterback's going to be retooled. Running back's going to be retooled. Half of the defense is retooled. It's not going to be enough. Gators win.
So, I don't know what to make of Vandergriff yet. He's a 5-star transfer out of Georgia.
Sure.
But they had some key injuries in camp on defense that are going to hurt them, at least from a depth perspective. I'm blanking on the receiver's name. Barry Brown, is that it? Something like that. He's a freak. He's an absolute speed demon on the outside. He can burn us over the top in a hurry, and you've got a big arm at quarterback. That's a dangerous combination. We have to be careful there. I believe Barry Brown is correct. However, it's homecoming. It's in the swamp. We get it done. This is a win, but it kills me to say I think it's a close win. For whatever reason, Stoops plays Napier well. He's shown that. He plays him very well, apparently. But I think this is the year that Napier gets it done against him. And it's not just because I want this win, maybe as badly as I want any win on the schedule, but I really do think we get it done this year. I think we are definitely a more talented team than Kentucky, especially with the injuries that they've sustained thus far. I think we get it done. All right. Then we have another bye week. That's important that we have 2 byes this year. It really will help us against this schedule. So another bye week, and then to Jacksonville. And them dogs. And I'm sorry to tell you, but that's a loss again. Much as I'd like it to not be, we're not there yet. Now, I do think this is a more competitive game than it's been the last several seasons. I know we were a little more competitive last year, and then it kind of got away. I think it's more competitive than that. I'm still not going to call it a close loss, though I won't rule out that possibility. But I think we're looking 10, 12, 13, something in that neighborhood is if I'm going to put a number on it as far as the distance and points. But it's closer than probably the line calls for. I'll say that. Though by that point, the line might have shrunk. I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
Jalen Rashada, Trevor E.T. It's personal. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a Noshawn Moreno, Brandon Spikes encounter like there was about 15 years ago. All I'm saying is, for the record, it's going to be a close loss. But let's just say this game is going to mean more. The SEC means more. This game means more. It's personal. It's different. The talent gap is not there. Agreed. Quarterback play, Carson Beck has proven to be very poised, very solid, very much a game manager that Georgia and Kirby need him to be. But here's I don't. It's not going to be a blow. The game's not going to be over midway through the second quarter, folks. We got a lot more to play for here. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So it's your turn to go first on this next one, so I'll let you have it. At Texas, next game. What do you got?
Oh, but dude, Texas, Longhorn Stadium. I get it. Texas is very deficient right now, losing RB1, losing RB2. They still have this guy named Quinn Ewers. You might have heard of him. He's on the cover of NCAA 25. They have a lot of talent. Steve Sarkisian has done what he's had to do to bring Longhorn Nation back. Are they all the way back? I don't think so. But they're definitely strong, great, talented, or a lot of talent on that roster. Longhorn Stadium is going to be tough to play in. That's why I have it as a loss.
So I do as well, but I'm going to caveat this game. This particular game I'm going to circle. It's a loss. I'm picking it as a loss. I'm not changing my pick, but I'm going to say this right now. This is the game. This is the game that I think could be the monster upset of the year. I'm not calling for it. I'm telling you the possibility exists. So one, you mentioned it. They lost their starting and backup running back for the season. They are done. That's not nothing. That matters. Number two, Texas is new to the SEC. They don't know this grind. So they may very well be kind of getting like, oh man, when do we get a week off? Oh, okay, Florida's coming. All right, they got a few losses. They're probably not that good. Okay, we can kind of take a breath here. I'm just saying, it's possible. It's possible. That's the game that I have circled as possibly the monster upset.
Wow.
Not calling for it, not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I absolutely think we lose. But if there's one that it could go down in, I think that's it. All right, moving along. LSU. LSU coming back in the swamp. We always play them tight in the swamp. If you recall, we gave Jalen Daniels fits in the swamp in a back and forth shootout that, frankly, if we had played an ounce of defense in the year before last year, we would have won. And I think this year we play more than an ounce of defense and we give Nussmeier all he can handle and more, and we get the W. Close win, but it's a win.
Close win, but a win?
Yes, sir.
Guess what? Win as well. I'm sorry. Brian Kelly has lost too many weapons, two hardcore top round wide receivers, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who's now starting for the Commanders. Wild. And here's the thing. I don't think they reloaded enough. No disrespect to Garrett Nussmeier, the Nussmeier family, right? He's not going to be the one to get it done. LSU is going to struggle this year. People are going to scratch their heads at Brian Kelly's coaching ability. And on that basis, it's going to be a win.
Well, and I'll throw one more thing out to you.
Throw it.
Their offense overshadowed a defense that was just as bad, if not worse statistically in a lot of ways, than our defense was last year.
Great point.
But nobody talked about it because their offense was phenomenal, right? It was all world. So nobody cared that their defense was terrible. Their defense was terrible last year. Horrific. And it doesn't show signs of significant improvement this year. They hired a new D coordinator. Okay, maybe that'll help. Remains to be seen. They didn't make some kind of massive talent improvement on defense. We did. We have improvement across the board at multiple positions, whether it be coming from experience gained or transfer improvement or recovery from injury from Shamar or Justice, right? So our talent has upgraded along with some coaching improvements. So we have reason to believe that our defense should be significantly better. I don't see the case for theirs to be, other than they got a new D coordinator. Okay, lots of teams do that, and it doesn't matter. Maybe it will. Sometimes it helps, but I'm not convinced. So I think their defense is a huge liability this year. We'll see, but again, prove me wrong on film, and we'll get back to it. Go from there. All right, Ole Miss at the Swamp. What you got?
Tough game, man. Tough game. Jackson Dart, yeah, great athlete, this, that, and the other. Is he as good as people says he is? I still really don't catch the hype train for Jackson Dart. However, I'm worried about Lane Kiffin and the way that he schemes and the talent that is there at Ole Miss, period. I'm not necessarily worried about number one coming back. That is going to be what it is going to be. But outside of that, I have that as a very close loss in the Swamp.
That's exactly what I have. Close loss. I think this is closer than the line because I think the line will be projected. I think Ole Miss is good this year. I don't think they're as good as their preseason rank. I think they probably end up being a playoff team, but I think they're like 10-2 regular season. I don't think they're, winning. Maybe they go to the championship game, depending on how the rest of it falls out. But I think they've got a couple of losses in the regular season. I don't think there's some elite program here. And maybe 10-2 gets you there. It just depends on how the chips fall. Maybe we get down to that last tiebreaker where they, just draw straws or whatever that final tiebreaker was, right? I don't remember what it was, but that was absolutely ridiculous. I laughed my butt off when I saw that. We go play flip cup. I mean, what are we doing? It's ridiculous. Right. So anyway, but could not believe that. But regardless, there we go. So last game at FSU. I got it as a close win. And if they keep looking like they just looked, I'm going to take the close off. What do you got in Tallahassee this year, buddy?
I don't have a close win. I have a win.
I like it. I like it. And you know what? I'm going to start leaning more into that if they keep looking like they did in Ireland on Saturday. Holy crap. Yeah. That was ugly, man. I mean, and I don't mean because they lost, for the record. I watched that game very closely. I did not see many bright spots for Florida State out there. And it wasn't because Georgia Tech was some all-world team. It really wasn't. Georgia Tech played very sound. They played very solid. I give them a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong. But, man, Florida State did very little well in that game. I mean, very little well. Their execution, their play calling, and I'm not calling Norvell out for that. It was just, I think, what he was forced to call. I don't think he has a lot of options. I don't know what DJ's really capable of in a lot of these situations. And again, the season's long. We play them at the end. I called this out. Things can improve. Things can change over time. We'll see how it goes. But I don't see him being some completely different person come the end of the season. I just think maybe the playbook opens up a little more for Norvell by the time we get there, and maybe they're a little more challenging when we do. But the biggest thing to me was, if we don't have to worry about that D-line like we did last year, then good luck keeping up with us scoring, because you're going to have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I didn't see anything to worry about with that D-line. Don't get me wrong. No, all credit to Georgia Tech's offensive line. They played phenomenally. But that D-line did not look like much, man. It really did. I did not see anything scary there at all. Not at all. So,
exactly.
Anyway, okay. With that, at the 2-hour mark, we're going to wrap this thing up. Thanks to everybody for hanging with us. I promise they're not normally this long. By the way, for the record, again, for anybody tuning in for the first time, we keep these right at 90 minutes during the season. We really do. We keep to that timeline. We have a very set agenda through the season. On these, kind of off-season ones, or one-offs, if you will, we get into a lot of different stuff, and it just takes longer to go through them. But during the season, we have a set agenda. We're very strict about the time. We keep it right at 90 minutes or less. Sometimes we're a little under that. And we will continue to do so as we get back into our weekly cadence starting next Monday night, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm sure you are as well. We will be back next Monday after the Miami game, the Florida win. Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
And we'll very much look forward to breaking down what we saw on film and giving you some analysis of that and what we think is the good, the bad, the ugly, all and everything in between. So with that, really enjoyed bringing you this. Really excited about this season. It's going to be challenging. For those of you who didn't keep up with those picks, we both just called for. We differed on one game. Other than that, we were the same on everything. So you called for 8-4, and I called for 7-5. Is that right? Am I right there?
I did. You're correct.
Okay. So those were our picks. So, we're not calling for stellar seasons here. We're really not. So, I mean, that's just the long and the short of it. It's a tough schedule. So it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a grind. And frankly, I think either one of us would be happy with 7-5, or certainly 8-4, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just going to be a long year. And that's not to say that we can't feel pretty good about those records. I don't feel bad about calling for those records. I'd be happy with either one of those records. Honestly, very happy with 8-4 for the record. This schedule is the hardest thing I've ever seen. I talked to a buddy of mine who knows college football very, very well today. His exact words, and I hadn't discussed this at all with him. This is the hardest schedule he's ever seen. It's ridiculous. So don't underestimate it. Be happy with anything above 500 for sure. Heck, you might be happy with 500 by the time it's all said and done. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a fun year. I hope we have a lot of positive things that we can talk about and take away from. There's certainly going to be some negatives too. Goes without saying. But we're really looking forward to bringing it to you and being back to giving you a weekly show here that we can get excited about for Monday nights. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. Any closing thoughts there, Randy?
That's it, man. Be well said. Happy to be back with you, buddy. The natural cadence, the normal cadence, getting back into our season agenda. Can't wait for some Florida football this Saturday. And outside of that, I'll just wrap it up. Wherever you are, wherever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.